Hi, I'm Edith Stoic. All right, let's be real. Have you ever noticed how some people love to push your boundaries? They interrupt, make passive-aggressive comments, or act like your time and feelings don't matter, expecting you to just smile and let it slide. Not today. If you're done tolerating people who don't respect you, this video is for you. Today, I'm breaking down brutally honest, maybe even a little controversial, ways to handle disrespect without losing your cool or sacrificing your self-respect. So get ready, because by the end of this, you'll have everything you need to show people exactly where the line is drawn. Let's dive in. The power of the silent stare, a game changer in handling disrespect. Have you ever been in a situation where someone was blatantly disrespectful, trying to get a reaction out of you? Maybe they interrupted you, made a passive-aggressive comment, or outright dismissed your presence. In those moments, the natural response is often to defend yourself, explain, or even snap back. But what if the most powerful response was no response at all? Enter the silent stare, a deceptively simple yet incredibly effective tool to reclaim your power without saying a word. Disrespectful people thrive on reactions. They interrupt because they want to assert dominance. They make snide remarks hoping you'll flinch. They push boundaries to see how far they can go. Their goal isn't conversation. It's control. But when you meet their rudeness with a steady, calm, expressionless gaze, the power dynamic shifts instantly. Suddenly, they are the ones feeling uncomfortable, unsure of what to do next. The silent stare forces them to sit with their own behavior, without the comfort of your reaction to validate it. The beauty of this technique lies in its psychological impact. When you refuse to engage, you communicate an unshakable confidence. Your silence speaks louder than words, telling them, "I see what you're doing, and I refuse to play along." There's something unsettling about a person who doesn't react the way they were expecting. It forces them to rethink their approach, making them question whether their usual tactics will work on you. More often than not, they back off not just in the moment, but in the long run, beyond dealing with others. The silent stare also reinforces self-respect. Too often, we feel obligated to explain ourselves, to justify our choices, or to smooth over someone else's bad behavior. But real confidence doesn't need validation. By choosing silence, you remind yourself that you don't owe anyone an emotional response. You don't need to defend your worth to people who don't respect it in the first place. The silent stare is more than just a tactic, it's a mindset. This approach doesn't mean avoiding confrontation or never speaking up when necessary. But in situations where words would only fuel the fire, silence can be your greatest weapon. It sets boundaries without aggression, demands respect without conflict, and leaves the offender with nothing to hold on to. When used wisely, the silent stare is not just about shutting down disrespect. It's about standing firm in your power. So, the next time someone tries to provoke you, don't rush to react. Instead, pause, breathe, hold your ground, let them feel the weight of your silence. You'll be surprised how powerful it makes you, and how powerless it makes them. The power of silence. Silence is one of the most powerful weapons you can use when facing disrespect. When someone tries to insult, provoke, or pressure you, the natural reaction is often to explain, defend, or retaliate. However, sometimes, saying nothing at all is the strongest response you can give. People who lack respect thrive on reactions. They want to pull you into their drama, make you feel small, or force you to defend yourself. But when you don't engage, when you let their words hang in the air without responding, you make them feel powerless. Your silence takes away their control and sends a clear message. I refuse to play this game. I once encountered someone who always made sarcastic, belittling remarks disguised as jokes. Every time we met, he found a way to criticize or mock me. In the past, I would have tried to counter his comments or laugh them off. But one day, I decided to respond differently. When he made another unnecessary remark, I simply looked at him, stayed silent, and didn't react. No anger, no frustration, just calm indifference. The result, he became visibly uncomfortable, struggled to continue, and quickly changed the subject. That was the last time he tried to undermine me. Silence not only makes the other person uneasy, but also helps you stay in control of your emotions. When you refuse to react, you deny them the satisfaction of seeing you flustered. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your choices, nor do you need to seek validation from people who don't respect you. There will always be situations where people question your decisions or try to make you doubt yourself. But you don't have to justify yourself to anyone. A simple response like, "Because I want to," is enough to shut down unnecessary conversations. Learning to use silence is like building a protective shield. It helps you conserve energy for what truly matters instead of wasting it on pointless arguments. You stop letting others dictate your emotions and start living on your own terms. So next time someone disrespects you, try staying silent. Look them in the eye. Remain composed and say nothing. You'll be surprised at how uncomfortable it makes them and how empowering it feels for you. Silence speaks louder than words. It not only forces people to reflect on their behavior, but also reinforces your self-respect and inner peace. Stop explaining your choices. How many times have you made a decision for yourself only for someone to immediately start asking you why? Why did you do that? Why didn't you go to that event? Why did you take that job? People seem to think they're entitled to an explanation for everything we do. But the honest truth is they're not. Your choices are your own, and you don't owe anyone an explanation for how you live your life. If someone is questioning your choices, they're often not looking to understand. They're looking to judge. They want to poke holes, make you doubt yourself, or feel better about their own decisions by making you second-guess yours. But you don't have to play along. When you stop explaining yourself, you reclaim your autonomy and show them that your life isn't up for debate. People question your choices because your decision challenges their view of the world. Maybe you're taking a risk they're too scared to take, or maybe you're stepping out of the norm they find so comforting. Your independence or willingness to do things differently can make them uncomfortable, and asking you to explain is their way of trying to fit you back into their comfort zone. But just because they're uncomfortable doesn't mean you're responsible for reassuring them. Your life isn't a public service announcement. You don't have to justify your choices to anyone. I remember when I decided to switch careers, moving from a safe job to something I was actually passionate about, but that came with a lot more risk. The moment people found out, it was like I'd announced I was moving to Mars. I kept getting asked, "Why would you leave a stable job?" And "How are you going to make it work?" At first, I tried to explain, talking about how I wanted something more fulfilling and how I had a plan, but no matter what I said, it never felt like enough. The more I explained, the more people questioned me, poking holes and making me feel like I needed to prove myself. Then one day, I decided to try something new. When someone asked, "Why would you leave that job?" I simply replied, "Because I wanted to." No extra details, no breakdown of my strategy. Just a simple answer. And let me tell you, it felt amazing. The silence that followed was everything. People didn't know how to respond because I had taken away their power to question my choices. And you know what? They eventually stopped asking. The real beauty of not explaining yourself is that it's freeing. It's you standing in your own truth, knowing that your decisions are enough simply because you made them. When you stop justifying your actions, you give yourself permission to live authentically without the weight of other people's expectations. You stop wasting your energy on explanations and start pouring it into actually living the life you want. Your life doesn't need an audience vote. Not every decision has to be analyzed or approved by others. When you stop explaining yourself, you send a message, "I'm confident enough in my choices that I don't need your approval." Think about it. When was the last time you saw a truly confident person breaking down their decisions for others? Probably never. People who own their lives don't need external validation. They know that the only approval that matters is their own. I used to be the person who would give a full PowerPoint presentation on why I was doing something just to get people on board. But over time, I realized that explaining myself to everyone only made me second-guess my choices. So I made a pact with myself. If someone asks me about a decision, I'll answer briefly, maybe a sentence or two. If they push for more, I'll smile and move on. And you know what? Life got a lot lighter. The more I stopped explaining, the more confident I became in my own decisions. So here's my challenge to you. The next time someone questions your choices, resist the urge to explain. Just say, "Because I wanted to," or "That's what felt right for me." Then let the silence speak. Watch how powerful that simple statement is. You'll feel stronger, more in control, and more at peace with yourself. And the best part, you'll realize that your choices don't need anyone else's stamp of approval. They're valid simply because you made them. Keep your distance, protecting your energy from disrespectful people. Sometimes, the best way to deal with people who don't respect you is to simply keep your distance. This might sound harsh or even cold, but the truth is, not everyone deserves a place in your life. If someone consistently disrespects you, one of the healthiest decisions you can make is to create space between you and them. This doesn't mean you hate them or that you're holding a grudge. It means you value yourself enough to protect your energy. Keeping your distance is not about being rude or ignoring people. It's about choosing where and how you invest your time and emotions. Think of your life as an exclusive club. Not everyone gets a VIP pass. If someone repeatedly crosses your boundaries, makes you feel small, or brings negativity into your life, why keep them close? Stepping back isn't just okay. It's essential for your well-being. Distance provides clarity. When you remove yourself from toxic interactions, you start seeing things more objectively. The emotional manipulation, guilt, and second-guessing fade away. If you allow disrespectful people to stay close, it's like giving them unlimited access to criticize, judge, and drain you. And then we wonder why we feel anxious, exhausted, or frustrated. Creating distance isn't selfish. It's self-preservation. It's about safeguarding your mental health, maintaining your peace, and making space for people who genuinely respect and uplift you. I once had a friend who always found ways to make subtle jabs at my choices, whether it was my career, my relationships, or even my music taste. At first, I brushed it off, convincing myself that was just their personality. But over time, I realized I was constantly on edge around them, anticipating the next sarcastic remark or passive-aggressive comment. One day, instead of calling them out or engaging in an argument, I simply decided to limit my time with them. I stopped initiating plans and allowed the relationship to fade. The result, I felt lighter, freer, and mentally stronger. I finally understood that some relationships don't need closure. They just need distance. Some people will say that keeping your distance is selfish. They'll remind you that the person in question is family or a longtime friend. Society tells us to be loyal, forgiving, and understanding. But at what cost? Protecting your peace is not selfish. It's necessary. You are not obligated to be someone's emotional punching bag or a constant source of validation. Sometimes, the best way to communicate that you've had enough is by stepping away. Distancing yourself is also a reminder that you are your own priority. You don't have to play the role that others expect of you. You don't owe anyone access to your mind, your time, or your emotions. When you set boundaries and create space from people who mistreat you, you're sending a clear message: my well-being comes first. That's not just self-care, it's self-respect. Furthermore, keeping your distance allows you to redirect your focus toward meaningful relationships, the ones that encourage your growth and happiness. The more time you spend with people who respect you, the more confident and fulfilled you become. The less time you spend with those who tear you down, the less power they have over your thoughts, your mood, and your life. I used to feel guilty for pulling away from certain people, even when they weren't treating me well. I worried about how they might perceive my absence. Would they think I didn't care? Would they believe I was overreacting? But over time, I realized that distancing myself wasn't just about avoiding negativity. It was about creating room for personal growth. When I started allowing myself to walk away from toxic situations, I felt a new sense of freedom. I had more energy, more peace, and a clearer vision of the kind of people I wanted to keep in my life. So here's a challenge for you. Think about the people in your life, the ones who constantly disrespect you, make you feel small, or drain your energy. Ask yourself, do they really deserve this much access to me? If the answer is no, then maybe it's time to step back, reclaim your space, and protect your peace. Stand tall, the power of holding your head high. In a world where people constantly test your confidence, standing tall and holding your head high is one of the most powerful things you can do. It's a silent but strong statement that says, I know my worth, and no one can take that away from me. Many people who disrespect others do so to make themselves feel superior. They want to see you doubt yourself, shrink into the background, or second-guess your choices. But when you refuse to be affected, when you stand confidently and carry yourself with self-respect, you take away their power. Confidence unsettles those who thrive on negativity. They expect you to react, to defend yourself, or to feel small. But when you simply hold your head high, maintain eye contact, and carry on without giving them the reaction they want, they often don't know what to do. It throws them off balance. They start questioning their own power rather than making you question yourself. I once found myself in a situation where someone constantly made passive-aggressive comments about me. Every time we were in the same room, they found a way to throw in a sarcastic remark or a subtle insult. At first, I felt like I had to respond, to justify myself or explain why they were wrong, but no matter what I said, it only encouraged them to keep going. Then, I decided to change my approach. The next time they made a remark, I simply smiled, looked them in the eye, and moved on without acknowledging the insult. Over time, they stopped. It wasn't fun for them anymore because I had taken away their ability to affect me. Holding your head high is more than just a physical stance. It's a mindset. It's a declaration that you don't need external validation to feel good about yourself. When you walk into a room with confidence, people notice, not because you demand attention, but because true self-assurance radiates strength. You don't have to explain yourself to anyone. You don't have to justify your decisions. When someone questions your choices in a way that feels condescending, try responding with a simple, because I wanted to, that's it. No further explanation is needed. People who lack confidence often project their insecurities onto others. They will try to bring you down, not because you are weak, but because your confidence reminds them of what they lack. Don't let their negativity dictate how you see yourself. When you carry yourself with dignity, you set the standard for how others should treat you. You teach people that their disrespect does not define you. It only reflects on them. This shift in mindset doesn't happen overnight. I wasn't always able to brush off negativity so easily. There were times when criticism got under my skin, and I found myself replaying rude comments in my mind, wondering if they had any truth to them. But over time, I realized something important. People's words only have power if you let them. When I started standing tall, maintaining my composure, and refusing to engage with negativity, I felt stronger. My self-respect became unshakable. So here's my challenge to you. The next time someone tries to undermine you, don't react. Instead, take a deep breath, keep your posture strong, and hold your head high. Look them in the eye, not with anger, but with quiet confidence. Let them know, without saying a word, that their opinions have no control over you. Holding your head high is a powerful act of self-respect. It tells the world, I know my worth, and I refuse to be diminished. And that, in itself, is enough.